Human mind cannot tolerate senseless, pointless, unnecessary things. And that's why, if we know why we're suffering, we can handle almost anything and not get depressed. But when we're convinced that what's going on in my life should not be going on, well, then my life is messed up completely. It's not just this problem. Any ridiculous thing can happen to me for no reason. I can't live like that. I don't want to live like that. So, knowing what bad means is really essential to your mental health. Because if you think that things can happen that should not happen, you've lost control over your life. And that's a miserable condition to be in. Another thing, if the definition of bad is something that should not have happened, how do we know what should or shouldn't happen? A person dies young. Oh, it shouldn't have happened. How do you know? How do you know what should happen? You know what you want, but how do you know what should? A child dies and you say, oh, that shouldn't happen. Well, how do you know? But the bigger question than that, and this is really crucial for anybody who believes in God. If you believe in God, can anything happen that shouldn't happen?
No. Because everything happens for a reason.
If God is making it happen, then it should happen. If something can happen that shouldn't happen, what is there, a bad God? You got two gods? Good God, bad God? Like Satan made it happen? What is Satan, another god? So in God's world, nothing can happen unless it's supposed to happen. So the big question, do bad things happen to good people?
Yeah.
No. Bad things don't happen to bad people. Bad things cannot happen in God's world. Because who made it happen?
The Holocaust was bad.
Huh?
The Holocaust was bad.
You mean it shouldn't have happened?
Yeah, it was bad.
You mean it shouldn't have happened?
No, I mean it was bad.
Well,
Like,
bad means...
That's your definition of bad.
Bad means it should not have happened.
You should check Webster. I guess then it shouldn't have happened.
Huh?
Yeah.
What?
Then it shouldn't have happened.
It shouldn't have happened. So 6 million Jews died for nothing.
It doesn't matter what it was for. It still shouldn't have happened.
So 6 million people died for no reason.
No, I don't agree with that, but I think it doesn't matter what the outcome is.
It doesn't matter what.
What the purpose of 6 million Jews suffering. There's no yeah.
Huh?
There's no justification, they're saying.
We have no justification, of course. But to say it happened for no reason? Something as...
You're saying that.
Huh?
No, I don't think it happened for no reason, but I still think it was bad.
Okay. So you're using the word bad differently.
Well, you think it was good?
Elie Wiesel. No? You know who Elie Wiesel?
Yeah.
Writer.
Okay, yeah.
He asked the Rebbe, right after the war, he asked the Rebbe, how can you believe in God after a Holocaust? And the Rebbe said to him, after a Holocaust, how can you not believe in God? Meaning, can you really believe that 6 million Jews died for nothing? Which is worse? So, if you're asking, do bad things happen? They can't happen. Nothing can happen, nothing will happen if there is no reason. So do bad things happen to good people? Nothing bad has ever happened in history. Because there's only one cause. God is the only one who makes things happen. There is no other God.
So, can you speak loud? Yeah. So, we were talking about yesterday that our job is to fix the lowest world. So maybe, do you think that the Holocaust was a way to prevent something from like that from happening again? Like it would be like to like create a more protective feeling around Judaism? Like we want to protect our identities and our culture?
I don't know. But we'll talk about the Holocaust on another occasion, exactly what it was and so on. But the definition of the word bad does not apply to God's world, because God never does anything bad, and if he's not doing it, then it ain't going to happen. That's the most fundamental belief in one God. That there's only one cause, there's only one shaker, there's only one mover. So if anything moves, it's from him. And if it's from him, then it has a reason. Sometimes we don't like the reason. So nothing bad ever happened. And will never happen.
It's not true. I don't think it's true. Like, you have to, there is bad in the world.
Evil.
Yeah, I think there's a difference.
Maybe like flat.
There is one exception, which is why the word bad even exists in Torah. The exception is the free choice that we have. We have free choice, and free choice means I can choose what I should choose, or I can choose what I should not have chosen. So when I make the wrong choice, that's bad, because I should not have done that. Hang on. Maybe things will get clear in a minute. So, the word bad exists only in describing human failure. When we make a bad choice, it's bad because, you shouldn't have done that. But now we're back to the original problem. If I can make a bad choice, and my choice is to hurt you, well, now you're getting hurt for no reason. It shouldn't have happened, because I should not have chosen to hurt you.
But somebody else would have. It is supposed to happen. You just are the messenger.
Not necessarily.
So we come to another amazing conclusion. No one with their bad choice can hurt you. Let's get an example. A person has the free choice to kill. So he goes and he buys a gun, or he steals it. Somehow he's got a gun, and he points it at his victim and he pulls the trigger. What's going to happen to the victim?
He's gonna die. He's gonna be shot. I mean, it depends where the bullet hits.
Okay, no one that's fixated on killing someone, A, only has one bullet, and B, is a lousy shot, especially if you're not too far away. Like,
It could be a moment of
I
panic.
wanted to shoot Kermit and just go pew.
It could have been a moment of panic.
I love
What if the person was panicking and their hand shook and then it missed a little bit?
It just depends.
You don't have just one bullet. If you have a gun, you have a gun.
Maybe they shot.
Maybe he forgot to buy bullets. I don't know. But the point is, like, if you have a gun,
There
you're
are
not
many
allowed to
different
shot.
things that could happen with this gun.
If you know you're a lousy shot, you get a knife.
the analogy.
You could be a lousy shot and still kill with it.
Right. Could be he misses. Could be he hits him, but it doesn't kill him.
It just depends.
In other words,
Wait, but
once you pull the trigger, you no longer have any control on what's going to happen. True?
Yeah.
So what's going to happen to my victim, I can't predict. I can only try.
you can't predict.
Once you let go of the arrow, you're not in control anymore. So when God says you have freedom of choice, it doesn't mean you can kill somebody.
Yes, you can.
You can choose to kill somebody. The freedom is the choice, not the success.
Then why are terrorist attacks usually successful? People end up dying.
And some don't.
Okay, but some do.
So who's in control?
If I have a knife and I stab someone, I am very much in control.
No, you're not.
I am, though.
You don't know if they're going to make it, you know what I mean? Because sometimes things happen where they do
I
make
give
it.
up. I'm done. Girl, keep talking.
Free choice literally means the freedom to make a choice, not the freedom to kill anybody you want. If we had the ability to kill anybody we want, the entire human race would have been dead by now.
Talk to Hitler. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, see? Hitler wanted to kill all Jews,
And he was doing a great job.
But he didn't kill him.
but failed.
But how
Right.
is this? But he was still doing a great job. And
Why did he
killed
fail?
The majority of the population.
Why did he fail?
God didn't let him. I don't know.
Exactly.
Okay. But
In
he
other
still
words,
killed
who's in
another-
charge?
He was still quite successful, though.
Yeah. And the question is, why did God let him be so successful?
There you go. Bring it up with God. I don't know.
Exactly.
Okay.
There's your answer. Take it up with God. But wait a minute, Hitler had freedom of choice. His choice was to rid the world of every last Jew. Did he?
He tried.
He tried, exactly. And when you try, you've used up your freedom of choice. You don't get any more than that. Freedom of choice doesn't mean your choice is going to be successful. It just means you made your choice. Like sometimes you want to insult your friend and you say something really wicked and they don't get it. How did that happen? Because they weren't meant to be hurt. And if you're not meant to be hurt, no one can hurt you. So, does bad exist in the world? Only if it's coming from a person, not if it's coming from God.
Okay, so bad does
Wait.
exist.
Bad exists in your choice, but nothing bad can happen even after a bad choice. Where do we know this from? From Joseph. His brother sold him into slavery. He ended up being the viceroy of Egypt. They come down to Egypt and they realize this is Joseph. I got to tell you about this in a second. And they say, I know you're angry at us, but please don't take revenge. What does Joseph say? You remember?
Don't worry about it.
Didn't he say bring me my father or something?
After.
Oh.
Joseph said, I'm angry at you? Why would I be angry at you? You don't control my life. God brought me down to Egypt to make me the viceroy of Egypt. Now, you had bad intentions. That's your problem, not mine.
But if God already knows what's going to happen and plans it out, then doesn't he know we're going to make the wrong choice?
Yes, that's why he has to plan it out.
Is that free choice though? If he knows
Yes.
we're going to make it?
You have free choice, and God plans whether your free choice should be effective, partially effective, completely ineffective, like the gang that couldn't shoot straight. In other words, God makes a plan in response to your choice. Knowing that you're going to choose to do this, God decides what the outcome is going to be. So the outcome is always what God wants, not always what you want. Even sometimes when you want to do something good, you can't succeed because God said no.
But technically, we all have a piece of Hashem in us.
Aha.
So therefore, if we really, really want something, shouldn't that piece of Hashem inside of us kind of be activated, I guess? If we really try to get something, let's say if I really, really, really study hard, I really, really want to ace this test, I'm going to ace that test. I have no experience otherwise, so you can't contradict me. But
My
gotta
sister once
thank-
cheated on a test and failed.
oh, really?
Oh, that's embarrassing.
She poured in the wrong group.
I don't know, that's all I know.
That is really embarrassing. It's like this woman who decided not to have any more children. So she took some birth control method. It failed. She tried a different method. It failed.
Oh no. There's no the
They said, you're such a schlemazel, you can't do anything right.
The assassination of I don't remember if it was the Archduke or whatever, but the guy, he tried to kill himself in the river and by taking cyanide. The cyanide failed and they grabbed him out of the river, so he never actually ended up, he got imprisoned.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many. The guy decided to kill himself, so he went up to the 87th floor of the Empire State Building, and he opened the window and he jumped. 87 floors? You're going to be pretty dead. But he didn't know that the wind is very strong up there. So the wind blew him against the building, and he landed on the ledge of the 86th floor and broke a leg.
Oh.
How embarrassing is that? So he decided to end his life. God said, not a good choice. I don't think so. I'll break your leg instead.
Isn't there security around to make sure that doesn't happen?
Oh, now the window doesn't open.
I should hope so.
Yeah, because what's the point? What do you want a window on the 87th floor? That opens.
Well, a breeze.
Clearly the breeze isn't.
I mean, it probably is.
Anyway,
true.
let me tell you something about Joseph. Off the subject completely. There's a man in Minnesota. I lived in Minnesota for 50 years. Man in Minnesota, a nice Christian man, who had a little company, had a company that did filming, little ads, advertisements, projects. He decided that he wants to tell the story of the Exodus from Egypt in video. He went to Israel, he went to Egypt, he spoke to archaeologists, professors, historians, Egyptologists, there's such a thing. And he put together a beautiful film. His photography is breathtaking. But he discovered something very disturbing. Nobody wanted to help him. Nobody. Everyone who he spoke to kept telling him that it never happened. Jews were never in Egypt. There was never an enslavement. There were no plagues. It never happened. Why? How do we know? Because there's no evidence. There's no evidence.
How is there no evidence?
There is, though. They found something recently.
Listen to the story.
Oh.
This was almost 30 years ago.
There has to be evidence on in a pyramid or something like that.
There was a letter.
So listen to the story. He decided there's actually a conspiracy against the story. Jews don't want to talk about it. A rabbi told him it never happened because there's no evidence. A rabbi in California. Every scientist, every historian says there's no evidence. And he thinks, wait a minute, there's a conspiracy here. Why is everybody against the story? He realized it's not the Exodus that people want to deny, it's the covenant. If you believe in the Exodus, then you might also believe that God promised the land of Israel to the descendants of Abraham. So the conspiracy is political. They want to deny the covenant with the Jewish people. So he redid the whole movie. Now, instead of starting with Moshe and the Exodus, he started with Avraham and the covenant. He found a Bedouin in some place in Israel with his flock of sheep. And he asked him to play the role of Abraham. Not a speaking role, just a visual. Oh, the guy looks so good. First of all, he looks ancient.
Really?
Because, in the desert you get the wrinkles, you get aged. He looks so good. And he's a natural shepherd. They're actually his sheep. And he's standing there with the shepherd's staff in a robe. Oh, he looks...
Can we see this video?
Huh?
What's the movie called?
The movie is actually a series of movies called Patterns of Evidence. You know. You've seen it.
Watched it 3 times.
3 times.
All on planes.
Anyway, listen to the story. So he hired this guy, I think he paid him $10, to be filmed as Abraham. And then his teenage daughter played the role of Yitzchak.
What?
At the Akedah.
Brilliant.
How old was Yitzchak at the Akedah? Everybody thinks he was a kid. So this girl puts on a turban or whatever, and then
Rabbi Friedman, can you explain what that Akedah is?
the sacrificing of Isaac. But it's not true. Isaac was 37 years old. Yeah.
He's ready.
I think if he didn't have a beard by then, he would probably never have one. But anyway, it's just beautiful. So, now he's calling it the Exodus conspiracy. But then he realizes, no, that's not really the story. The real story is much bigger than that. So he renamed the film, redid the film. Basically, he went bankrupt. And he renamed it Patterns of Evidence. What is Patterns of Evidence? There have been clips for a very, very long time about somebody discovered the Ark, Noah's Ark on Mount Ararat. Where is Mount Ararat?
Turkey.
In Turkey. So they tried to film it, they tried to prove it. Then there are those who said they found chariots at the bottom of the sea. But it's just like pieces. He decided, if you're going to tell the story properly, you have to have evidence for every detail. Not just a piece here or a piece there. So he's calling it patterns of evidence. What is the pattern? Number 1, were there Jews in Egypt?
Yes.
Where's the evidence? Were those Jews enslaved? Where's the evidence? Were there plagues? Where's the evidence? Did the Jews leave Egypt, had an exodus? Where's the evidence? Did they make it to Mount Sinai? Where's the evidence? Was there a splitting of the sea? Where is the evidence?
I don't think you really have evidence for that.
Yes, more than that. The Jews will capture Israel. Where's the evidence? The Jews will be scattered throughout the world for thousands of years. Where's the evidence? The Jews will come back to Israel. Where's the evidence? The whole story, evidence for each step. Here's what he found. Everybody's saying there's no evidence. So the first, 20 minutes of the film is people interviewed saying it never happened. Even this rabbi in California said it never happened.
How is he a rabbi if he's...
Because there's no evidence. So this guy, his name is Tim. He says to the rabbi, so you don't celebrate Passover? He said, oh, of course I do. He said, but the story never happened. He says, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The religion is a religion. You do what the religion says. It doesn't matter whether it actually happened. Which kind of makes him look foolish. That's 20 minutes. After that, 2 hours of evidence. For example, the first thing was, were there Jews in Egypt? If you want to know whether there were Jews in Egypt, the place to look is the land of Goshen, which is just north of Egypt. That's the land that Pharaoh gave to Yosef and his family when they came down to Egypt. So Goshen was Crown Heights. Many, many years ago, people dug in that region, and they uncovered a city, but it was Roman. It was a Roman city. So they gave up. Years later, I think maybe in the 40s, archaeologists went back to the site and kept digging. Under the Roman city, they discovered another city. And in this city, the architecture was definitely not Egyptian or Roman. It was what they call Asiatic. Israel and Egypt are on the border of Asia and Africa. Israel is in Asia. Egypt is in Africa. So when they discovered this architecture in Egypt, they called it Asiatic, which means right across the border. They said it was like from Syria, but it was definitely not Egyptian. It was a farming village, but it had the largest population of all the cities in Egypt. When they dug up this city, they discovered that in the middle of this farming village, there's a palace, which is completely out of place. The palace had 12 pillars in its front and 12 burial spaces in the back. The only explanation is that when Joseph's family moved there, Egypt built him a palace. He was the viceroy of Egypt. And since there were 12 tribes, they had 12 pillars and 12 burial places.
They weren't buried there.
Huh?
They weren't buried there, though, were they?
One of the 12 burial places was a pyramid. A pyramid was used exclusively for the burial of royal members of the royal family. So that burial spot was obviously meant for Yosef. Evidence shows that no one was ever buried there, because Yosef was taken to Israel.
Along with the brothers, or was it just Yosef?
I think along with the brothers. What else did they discover? They discovered that the entire population of the city left overnight for no apparent reason. I asked him, how could you know that? How could you know what the reason is from digging up archaeological pieces of pottery? How do you know why they left? He says, a city is abandoned for one of three reasons, historically. Either a plague, people just died from a disease, or war, they just got killed, or hunger. They had to move because there was nothing to eat. The evidence shows that there was no war because the buildings are decayed, but they're not destroyed. They're not burnt. So there's no violence. There was no plague, because if there was a plague, there'd be bodies unburied. And there was no hunger, because the grain bins are full and the wine vats are full. To this day. I mean, I wouldn't drink it, but
Wine's kosher.
it's kosher wine. That they didn't expect. All they were looking for is evidence that they were Jews. But all this additional information. One other thing they discovered. In front of the pyramid, there's a chapel, a square little entry attached to the pyramid. In this chapel, in this entryway, there was a huge statue. The bigger the statue, the more important the person in Egyptian history. But the statue is not of an Egyptian, because the skin is pink, or what we call pale, not Egyptian. The hair is red.
Wait, but what was the statue made out of that you could see, like, the colors?
Well, to see the colors, you have to use some light spectronomy, whatever.
There are certain cameras that are designed to restore color.
Like, I'm saying, what did they make it out of?
Paint.
Oh, right.
And there's
Different
different colors.
I forgot about paint.
So listen.
There's
Listen.
different countries. There's many different types of clay.
They're not like red and
So
I was thinking of, like, a giant gold statue.
the skin is pink. The hair is red, and the haircut is not Egyptian at all. It's kind of what they call a mushroom, like a cap of hair. No long hair,
bowl cut?
not long hair.
Like a bowl cut?
A what?
A bowl cut.
A bowl, yeah.
Something that's almond?
And
Oh, that's great.
he's wearing a robe striped with many colors.
He was. Wait, what was? Joseph was 90?
The cut was ruined.
Is this Joseph?
No, the coat was remade for
So the producer, Tim, asks this historian, Egyptologist. Is that Joseph? He says, if that's not Joseph, it is the biggest coincidence in history. Because the only non-Egyptian leader in all of Egyptian history was Joseph. Again, we discovered things we never expected. We never knew he was redhead.
Or that he had a bowl cut.
Yeah.
Not a great look, dude.
So somebody actually said to me, what?
Actually, there isn't.
A redhead? Obviously he wasn't Jewish.
So what does that mean?
Where do you get redheads in Israel?
But his mother wasn't from Israel.
But not just.
It's coming from like Russia.
Rachel wasn't from Israel.
Irish.
No, because we learned that David comes from them, and he was also a redhead, so it has to be genetic.
Everybody comes from them.
Right.
No, but Rachel wasn't from
Remember, we
Israel.
learned that David Hamelech was for sure a redhead.
People.
Say that.
His uncle was a redhead.
Who's his uncle? Oh, Esav! It's brilliant.
Overlooked a little detail there. Anyway, maybe Noah was a redhead. Who knows? By the way, does it make sense that he's wearing a robe with striped colors?
Yes.
No, it was lost and ruined.
Yes, but his father made him a new one.
Huh?
It's also a statue, so.
That's what I learned in class, that like when he reunited with his dad, he got a new one. That his father made him a new coat.
Where's
I don't know, my teacher taught me that.
really?
Yeah. Wasn't the whole reason that he was sold was because they were jealous because the dad made him a coat and
Oh,
then
no,
they knew that he was the
No,
favorite?
he made the new coat because he realized that the colors that his father put the coat in were special, so he redid it.
Before his father came.
I think. I don't remember exactly when, but I know that he got a new coat with the same colors.
The only explanation is that when his father gave him that coat, it wasn't just a birthday gift. His father was telling him, you, with your style of Judaism and your philosophy, you should wear this kind of a coat. So as soon as he was freed from the dungeon, he made himself a coat like his father wanted. So it was a loyalty to his father.
What does that mean, you with your style of Judaism should wear?
Tanya.
What does it mean, you with your style of Judaism should wear this coat?
But that's why the brother was so jealous. They weren't jealous of a coat. They were jealous that Yosef had a special role in the family and in history represented by the coat.
I would be immature too if that happened to me.
Yeah.
Like if one of my siblings if my mom gets a really special coat for my sister, I would be like, excuse me, I want a coat.
I want a hat. Like, make me a hat.
So
No,
I was-
it's a different time.
Can we get to the part about the babies?
I was sitting in the airport
Nothing.
years ago, sitting in the airport. This guy comes over, a middle-aged guy, doesn't say hello, doesn't introduce himself. He launches into a sermon.
A what?
He's a missionary.
Oh, it's like a sermon.
He sits down next to me and he says, you know, every word in the Bible. Why do they all talk like that? I don't know. He says, every word in the Bible is true. It's the word of God.
What?
Yeah. And he goes on for about 15 minutes. Every word in the Bible is true. You can't disprove it. You can't deny it. You can't change it. It's the word of God. And finally, after 15 minutes, he remembers his manners. And he says, oh, I'm sorry. What is your relationship with the Bible? I said, you mean the Bible? He said, your relationship. So I said, well, I'm a Kohen, which means I am a descendant of Aaron. So Aaron is my grandfather, which means that Moses is my uncle. And Miriam is my aunt. His mouth fell open. And he mumbled something and he walked away.
That's how you keep them out there.
So I'm thinking, he just finished telling me that every word in the Bible is true. Why was he shocked? He read the Bible,
You sure?
and there was an Aaron there.
You sure you read the right one?
There's only one. So that,
Maybe you're on a track or something.
Is the Bible book?
so why was he shocked that the guy Aaron, who's in the Bible, and therefore must be true, why was he shocked that Aaron had a grandchild?
Why don't we go find him? We'll ask.
Track him down.
It's because religious people don't always focus on fact. They focus on faith. Does it make sense? In the religion, you believe it's true. But it actually happened? No one expected that. So this pattern of evidence shakes up the religion. Will you stop believing? It's just a fact. Save your belief for other things. But don't believe that there was an Exodus. Either there was or there wasn't. So if there was an Exodus, find the evidence. Oh, no, there's no evidence, I just believe. You don't really believe. I mean, you really believe, but you don't believe really. You know what I mean?
Faith won't settle anything.
Yeah, you can believe anything. Anyway, so the next most important thing, because we only have 5 minutes left, the next most important thing is they found in a museum in Holland a papyrus that is called the Admonitions of Ippawar. It's a long, long poem written by an Egyptian of that time. It rambles, it goes on and on and on. But here's what they found in that text. We should have let the slaves go.
Admonitions of what?
The guy's name was Ippawar. Ipuwer. We should have let the slaves go. Look at what has happened to us. There is darkness over the land. Our cattle are destroyed.
Why do you know this by heart?
Huh?
Why do you know it by heart?
I was in the movie.
Oh, cool.
I'll tell you in a second.
Our cattle.
The cattle are destroyed. The crops are gone. The river is blood. Whoever tries to drink from it loses his humanity. There is wailing and mourning in every home as we bury our dead. And the slave women are wearing our wives' jewelry. Can you get any closer to a perfect description of the 10 plagues?
You forgot the crickets.
The frogs.
And the frogs.
Maybe he liked the frogs, I don't know.
It was the least of his worries with all the other things happening. I'm sure those took
Yeah,
precedent.
the frogs came and then left. So
So least of worries.
Well, no, because they died. They still smelled. Didn't, like in the children's books, they make the piles of frogs.
at any rate,
Maybe they were ashamed.
he asks, when they found this, Tim asks the professor there at the museum in Holland, isn't this evidence of the plagues? He says, no. He says, well, why no? He says, well, obviously they're writing fantasy.
I don't think fantasy was like created yet.
Right.
I also
It's
don't
not Hollywood.
I don't think gore was created yet. Like, Yeah,
Or
who
with reality,
writes a
who writes
fantasy?
about it, you just go watch it.
Because writing was mainly
Well,
a
also
form
not
of
many people were
documenting what actually
scribes.
happened. They wouldn't
So
do it
Tim-
for
Like,
entertainment.
They
So
didn't
Tim
have
asks
scholarship.
him-
This was a nobleman.
Listen, Tim asks him a very good question. He says, why do you say it's fantasy? Because it's too fantastic? He says, yes, too fantastic.
Fantastic.
He said, well, then there goes all of archaeology. If you're not going to look at the evidence, you're going to decide whether it's fantastic or not. So it's almost like comical.
No, it's a crazy story.
The archaeologist says you can't trust archaeology. Like, what are you saying? And besides, no one wrote fiction in those days because it was so hard to write. You had to make your own ink. You had to make your own paper. And they're just going to sit and write.
Oral. It was
Yeah.
all like
There weren't many
spoken
scribes.
entertainment. Like they would sing and stuff like that.
So, in the film, they have this voiceover, ancient voice, reading the lines from this poem, and I'm reading the line from the Torah that...
You, the ancient
Crazy.
voice.
No. I'm not a voiceover.
Oh.
I'm right there with a Torah, and I'm reading the line. And there was grieving in every home, as every home had it's literally from the Torah. So, we know the story as it was told to us from heaven, and now we're finding the evidence in the earth. We're digging up the truth that we already knew, which is very interesting. Anyway, so we started off talking about bad things. When the sages say you should be gracious when bad things happen, because it also is for the good, that is such a fundamental Jewish concept. Everything has to be good if God is doing it. And only God can do anything. There is no other God. Therefore, nothing bad ever happened. But that's not the punchline. The punchline is, pain does happen. With a reason. Tragedy does happen. For a reason. The sensitivity that we should have is not to complain that things happen that they shouldn't. We complain even when it should happen. Is there no alternative? Death is happening for a reason, but really, is that the only way? So the sages don't say something went wrong. The sages say it's painful. Can't you stop the pain? So, labor pain is not bad. But should it stop? Yes, it should stop.
So we're saying in the times of Mashiach?
Why? Well, the only way to give birth is in pain. Really? That's the only way God can do it. So when we complain to God, we're never saying you did something wrong. We're saying you know what you're doing and everything is for the good. But can't you do the same good without the pain? That's sensitive. So we don't ask, do bad things happen to good people? We ask, why do good people experience pain? Not because they shouldn't, but because it's painful. A quick example is, my wife was giving birth, so I went to the hospital, to the maternity ward, and I hear this woman screaming in pain. And the nurses are just walking around. I said, isn't somebody going to do something for her? They said, no, she's in labor. I said, I know. This is the maternity ward. But she's in pain. Yeah, it's been 13 hours.
She's not pain.
And you're just walking around? There's nothing you can do for her? At least, doesn't it bother you to hear someone screaming for 13 hours? No, she's in labor. I know. So now her pain doesn't bother you? Because you know why it's happening? That's not nice. So even when we know why it's happening, we should have compassion because it's painful. Yeah, it's good pain. But painless is even gooder. So why aren't you at least praying for her pain to end? How can you be so indifferent? So you see what happens? Once we know why it happened, we don't care anymore. And that's wrong. So very quickly, somebody asked Elie Wiesel, who wrote a lot about the Holocaust. Everyone who meets him asks him, so why was there a Holocaust? As if it was his fault or something. So of course he tells people, I don't know. But one time, some guy asked him, why was there a Holocaust? He says, I'm really sorry, but I'm not at liberty to tell you. The guy says, you know why, but you won't tell me? He says, that's right. He said, well, why won't you tell me? He says, because if I tell you, you'll become a Nazi. The guy said, don't be ridiculous, I'm Jewish. I would become a Nazi. He said, I see that you can't sleep well at night because of the Holocaust. It bothers you. It disturbs you. I'm going to tell you why it happened. And you're going to say, oh, okay. Okay, now you're a Nazi. The only people that a Holocaust makes sense to is a Nazi. If I made sense to you about why the Holocaust happened, you would become a Nazi. So true. We don't want an excuse, even though there is. We don't want a reason. We don't want to hear it, even though there is a reason. But no matter how good the reason is, wouldn't it have been better without a Holocaust? So we don't stop at the fact that, no, it wasn't bad, it happened for a reason. Okay. So now you're happy? Now the woman screaming in pain doesn't bother you anymore? Because you know that it's labor pain? That's not nice. So we always pray, revive the dead, bring them back. Not because it was wrong.
Yeah, a quote from Wiesel's essay, All Rivers Run to the Sea, I remember this, I just got it up. It says, I've never renounced my faith in God. I've risen against his justice, protested his silence, and sometimes his absence, but my anger rises up within faith and not outside it. Really
Which is correct.
And there's other ones.
Yeah.
Not because it's wrong.
Huh?
You said we pray for the dead to come back, not because it's wrong, but because.
Because they died.
We want them back.
We ask God, why do the righteous suffer? Not that a bad thing happened. No, there was no bad thing, but they're suffering. That's not enough to pray for? So the sensitivity that we should have is not injustice. Any kid can say, it's not fair. Even when it's fair, if it hurts, it should hurt us. No matter how justified the pain is. We should not be comfortable hearing people in pain. So of course it's happening for a reason. So it's not bad. We're not saying it's bad. We're saying it hurts. Stop the pain. This is very important for our mental health. Because if we're not confident, absolutely confident, that nothing ever goes wrong in God's world, then we are so vulnerable. We're so easily victimized. It's not healthy. When you know that nothing can go wrong, you can handle pain, you can handle tragedy properly. You grieve like you're supposed to, and you move on. But if the world is out of control, you can't stop grieving, because the problem doesn't stop. Anything can happen at any time to anyone for no reason. It's very unhealthy. Anyway, gotta go? You already baked the challah. What's the problem?
Well, it's officially lunchtime, but it's not here yet, so.
No lunch?
I was hoping you were going to say about the babies and the patterns of evidence, how they found all those, like...
Okay, so let's go back to the evidence.
Yeah. Sorry.
What was next?
Wait, I have one question.
So were they slave? Were they enslaved? Where's the evidence?
Well, in the guy's writing, no?
Huh?
And the article that you just brought
Out
up,
in the
where the guy
village.
said that we should have let go of the slaves? That proves they were enslaved?
That was a lucky find. But when they dig up, when they dug up the bodies, they noticed an interesting thing. On the lower level, the deeper level, all the bodies that they dug up in Goshen were healthy bones. The bones that were healthy.
Jews have good bones. We have good bones.
A layer above that, all the bones were diseased and broken, which are signs of malnutrition and violence. So it seems like there was a time when they were at peace, they ate well, they lived well, and then all of a sudden there was malnutrition and there was violence. How many years did the Jews live there in Goshen?
240?
210 now.
210 years.
Overachiever.
So the first half of that was all positive. It was a very rich land. They had their flock, their sheep, their cattle were very healthy. They were very healthy. They were treated like royalty. They built them a palace, but then things turned. And the evidence shows they went from being healthy to being abused. That's number one. Number two, they found a booklet in the Brooklyn Museum, and it's called the Brooklyn something or another. It's basically a list of slaves, like some slave master had a list of the slaves he was in charge of. There were over 100 names. 70% of the names are Hebrew, not Egyptian. And he tells me what the names were. There was a name Asher, Naphtali, Menachem, Shifra.
Nahum is that old of a name?
That's what I said. I said, whoa, Menachem? There's no Menachem in the Bible.
That's so painful to see. I guess.
Huh?
That's so painful to see.
Yeah.
What?
Jewish
Names?
slaves in general, but like Jewish names as living down as slaves.
That makes it real.
Yeah. It was just their name and their age.
Oh no. Did
So,
he tell you the ages of them?
How? What was the youngest? You know.
What was the oldest?
so
Is this from the same?
completely unrelated. So we know that the Jews were enslaved by the evidence of the abuse, and we know that they were Jewish slaves because. But I said to Tim, I said, no, Menachem's got to be a mistake. There's no such name in the Torah. He said, no, there's no mistake. It's Menachem. I said, could be you misread it. I mean, it's hieroglyphics or whatever it is. Nope, it's Menachem. I said, okay. A while later, I read in a medrash that Noach is a shortened version of Menachem. Noach's name was Menachem.
The history
Coleman
lover in me can't
Oh my
deal
God,
with all of this. Wow.
Very happy.
He's a Cohen.
Nobody could pronounce Menachem, so they shortened it to Noach.
Which midrash said this?
Which medrash? I guess on Noach. Parshas Noach.
I have chills. That's crazy.
So weird to me.
We ready with lunch?
Whoa.